Welcome to Arthur's History, where today we are stripping away the timbered charm of the Middle Ages to look at the grim reality of 1475 London. The year is 1475, and the city breathes a cold river fog that hangs in the air like a sick animal, while the harsh scent of tallow smoke catches in your throat. You might step into this era expecting candlelit romance, but instead, you are greeted by a metropolis that routinely sweats its own waste directly into the drinking water and accepts it as completely ordinary. The streets beneath your boots are slick, wet, and teeming with unseen hazards that have no business touching human skin. In this environment, hands are almost never clean, and linen clothing is worn and reused until it takes on a greasy shine. When the day ends, you seek shelter in a local inn, but the air inside is thick with the smell of sweat, onions, and wet straw, feeling thoroughly overused. The bed you are offered is less of a sanctuary and more of a negotiated space, featuring a mattress stuffed with straw that eagerly drinks up the dampness and never releases it. The straw itself pushes through torn ticking, and the heavy wool blankets you pull over yourself are matted from years of absorbing spilled drinks and the moisture of countless previous bodies. If you press your hand into the mattress, it yields with a damp sigh, leaving your palm smelling faintly of mildew. Attempting to wash away the day's grime is futile. The basin near the hearth holds water that already bears a shiny film from the many hands that have used it before yours. You wipe your skin with a cloth that is already damp before you even pick it up, and the act feels akin to rubbing mud away with more mud. In a city still severely battered by recurring years of the plague, the population is hungry, stressed, sleep-deprived, and running on dangerously thin margins. Because cloth is washed infrequently and dries incredibly slowly in the damp air, tiny parasitic passengers quickly learn the fastest routes from person to person. Consequently, when intimacy occurs in these shared spaces, the friction can easily create microscopic breaks in delicate skin. These tiny tears, so minor you might not even notice them, become the perfect open doorways for the city's ubiquitous grime to enter your bloodstream. Tonight, the danger doesn't announce itself with a scream. It quietly takes root as a rising heat under your skin, turning a private act into a public death sentence. Once the infection breaches your skin, London's unforgiving environment rapidly transforms mild discomfort into life-threatening danger. The body's first alarms are subtle, perhaps a slight sting when you pass water, or a tenderness that you try to blame on the chafing of rough cloth. You might notice a faint swelling, but like everyone else in the city, you keep your mouth shut, tighten your shoulders, and pretend the pain is entirely private. However, the heat inside you inevitably begins to climb without spectacle, and the first sores refuse to close. The situation worsens drastically when the weather turns, and a hard, steady rain hammers the roofs, swelling the gutters and transforming the streets into moving films of filth. Waste that would normally flow down toward the river ends up spreading sideways, pooling directly in the paths where people are forced to walk. The water you rely on becomes even more hazardous. Well water begins to taste strange, and drinking from a communal barrel cup leaves the lingering taste of wood and the filthy street in your mouth. As the fever tightens its grip, sweat chills on your back the moment you stop moving, and your thoughts slow down like a cartwheel bogged down in deep mud. Sepsis begins to steal your time through multiplying small failures. You reach for a cup and your fingers fail to close, or you try to stand and your knees unexpectedly soften. But the physical pain is only half the terror. The true danger lies in how the city penalizes weakness. If you sway or lean against a wall for too long, the watchmen patrolling the damp lanes with their staves and lanterns will quickly label you a drunk, a vagrant, or a troublemaker. Being visibly sick in the streets can quickly escalate into being punished in the streets, as the cold stone offers no sympathy for your fever. The economic consequences are equally brutal. Landlords need no excuse to shut their doors on you, and employers will replace you without a second thought. Inside the cramped homes, a sick household rapidly bleeds money, forcing families to watch their bread portions shrink and their meat completely disappear. For a pregnant woman catching an infection in these conditions, the misery is compounded. Days after birth, she may shiver violently under sweaty blankets as her eyes lose focus, while the household quietly calculates what resources can actually be spared to save her. In a world where missing a single day of work means missing a meal, hunger makes every fever harder to fight and ensures that every wound lingers, opens, and invites further rot. When desperation finally breaks your resolve, you will seek out help, only to discover that London's trusted medical cures will empty your body far faster than the sickness itself. Help is easy to locate because immense fear keeps the medical trades well funded, marked by the bright warning of a barber surgeon's pole standing out against the soot-darkened timber. Inside these cramped shops, the air reeks of boiled water, old stains that never left the wood, and the sharp, metallic scent of animal fat and warm pennies. The practitioners operate with terrifying, unshakable confidence, firmly believing that sickness is merely a problem of bodily balance, a dangerous mix of bad humors, excessive heat, or too much wetness. Because they possess absolutely no knowledge of germs, they do not attempt to protect open wounds. Instead, they punish them by bleeding, burning, and poisoning the patient. You might be subjected to a barber surgeon holding a small knife to a candle flame until the metal darkens, wiping it casually on his apron and slicing into your hottest skin to draw out the corruption. Blood is drained into a bowl as if relief can be accurately measured in ounces, leaving you significantly weaker while the infection continues its quiet, steady march. If the blade isn't enough, you might be sent to an apothecary who will sell you a grey paste known as mercury or quicksilver. In a stifling, heated room, this cold, slick paste is forcefully rubbed into your rawest skin and the chafed seams of your body. The apothecary claims the mercury will drive the corruption out through sweat and spit, and soon your mouth floods with a metallic taste, your gums ache, and your hands begin to shake uncontrollably. This horrific cure demands absolute obedience, forcing your body to pay heavily in massive amounts of saliva, sweat, and debilitating weakness. Women seeking to handle dangerous pregnancies might trade small bundles of strong herbs like rue and pennyroyal, brewing them into a thick, bitter green sap that can cause uncontrollable bleeding. Ultimately, the tragedy of 1475 London is not born of reckless desire, but of the city's harsh basics. Extreme crowding, foul water, damp bedding, and a lack of soap, all combined with a medical system that tragicomically mistakes harshness for effectiveness. Sanitation is not merely a modern comfort, it is a fundamental requirement for human survival. Thank you for tuning in to Arthur's History. If you want to hear more stories told from the ground up, with the dirt and breath still on them, comment your location and local time below, and hit subscribe.